to Switzerland to, believe it or not, the very ancient heritage of Ireland, which is an open area lake in the southwest part of Switzerland, which the KGB said, I think, was in 88. So we're going to go there for the first time. See if anybody's, my family's out there.
That sounds awesome, Steve. It really does. Now, I want to ask you about some news flying around about Kim Jong's nuclear program and this meeting with him and Donald Trump is supposed to take place on June the 12th. The summit is supposed to be in Singapore, I do believe, and North Korea is expected to dismantle a nuclear test site this week.
Kim Jong-un, after threatened to nuke Washington, New York, and South Korea, whatnot, in 1 week isn't going to just dismantle his port. So it's just a problem. And I think it's very interesting that he's being so nice to the South Koreans, and in a way, almost refining two countries, just showing the limit. And then, of course, Trump makes certain plans, and then so it's like 2 really big international that's and someone has to step back and turn the corner and behave themselves. That's kind of how I see the situation. But it's really just a big show for everyone. And playing it out like that, and then letting go like that for June 11th. Yes, no reparation, blah blah. And then he'll just very different world right now. And I don't remember if it was CNN Fox or internet. They had an article about ancient history, and they actually mentioned Atlantis in it. And she said, well, that's the first time I've ever seen that when you mentioned it, saying that it really did exist.
All right. This is the listeners about your September spectacular, if you don't mind, Stuart. So go ahead and tell them what you had going on at that time.
It's a 1 week long class where I teach the information that I've gathered during this year. And this September, I will be talking about, of course, the history and program and so on, but I'm also going to be discussing the thousands of pages of ancient documents that I have gotten this year that have been translated from ancient Hebrew, Aramaic, Greek, Syriac, and so on, which goes codes of what's in the Bible, what's in the Torah, what's in the Kabbalah, and how to use it, and the codes that King Solomon used to control the weather, to control the genitals, to climate frequencies. It's going to be quite a fascinating class, and if you pay attention, you'll become quite powerful.
Okay, and how can they touch base with you if they're interested in that?
Well, of course, they go to my website, connections.com, and all the information is there. You just click on events, and I believe there is an advertisement box up on there about this spectacular, or you can also customer support at connections.com, and they will help you with the information you need.
Oh, very good. I'm going to push on here, Stuart. One very fascinating thing, I'll take that back. Everything in your book is fascinating, and I highly recommend it. But one thing that really caught my eye is how you talked about how the Atlanteans love to manipulate genetics. Can you tell us about that, please?
Well, very, very fascinating. Because, the new and here I will just emphasize the way the current image was created by the United States government in 1965 in order to control the program. But what they're trying to glamorize ancient peoples and how holy and wonderful and spiritual they were. But in fact, that was true from, but for the most part, for example, Atlantis, people were very much involved in their technology or in spirituality, and they were very much involved in genetic manipulation. So, for example, in ancient Atlantis, they, for example, mixed mammalian human genetics with genetics and created merfolk. They also took human genetics with bear genetics and created Bigfoot or Sasquatch names and so on. So they created a lot of hybrids. Many of them they wanted to use for slave labor, working environments so that they would not require equipment so that they could visit the body, And so we have now, thousands of years later, the survivors or remnants of those hybridizations still existing. They have not become much of a normal genre from this because we have so much visibility about them. We know that they do exist. People don't know where they come from, etc. But they are really deliberate the Atlantic experiments.
All right, now it was ruled that the reason why some of these world leaders went down to Antarctica during the last presidential election here in the United States was because they found some of these things. Did you hear that?
Oh yeah, but actually after that, here it's not just and again, a lot of that is I don't know creating stories for leadership and so on. And I'm not saying that those things did not happen, but pantomime didn't happen. For the most part, because George the Fourth, right, about that in my books as well. And so if leaders went down junction into the Kuiper Belt area, and so the leaders who were concerned went to discuss this thing. And my feeling is that's why we have the current president in power, because I've discussed on my blogs and on my podcast that this person is actually somehow by the forefront. And that is why the Illuminati got so upset about his president's infections.
Very interesting. Now I want to know where you're going back to Antarctica.
Well, let me tell you something. After going on a ship 50-foot winds for 40 hours, now I'm thinking of going back to the ship. That was very easy. But you know, right job, right there. You come with me too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now, start off with so many things, but I want to ask you, is it true that the Atlanteans destroyed themselves?
Yes, they did. Well, first, there was this connection between the Atlanteans and the Orients, and it went on for quite a bit of time. And the ancient Hindu Vedas talk about wars between the Atlanteans and the Orients, even describing nuclear blasts. So lances or missiles, and there's quite fascinating in the Vedas. But once the Marine was destroyed using the more fortunate grid to destroy the tectonic plates underneath the area, then the Atlanteans became quite arrogant, and that's when they really and tried to dominate the rest of the world. And in so doing, they created electromagnetic energies that fractured the tectonic plates underneath their own continent, causing a collapse into what we come to as Atlantic Ocean.
So we're going to move on to Egypt. I love to hear anything about Egypt, but I want to hear the truth. Okay, so I want to ask you, and the reason why I want to ask you, I do want to get your take on it because over the years, you know, we hear so many researchers argue about different things concerning Egypt, whether it be who built the pyramids, the age of the pyramids, whatever. You can't really get a consistent answer. It seems like everybody's got their own theories. But first of all, I want to know whether they're hiding from the general public who actually built the pyramids.
Oh, of course.
Really? Who really built the pyramids?
Well, again, you know, excavated around the Giza Plateau and the foundations of the Sphinx, they realized that these monuments were built during a time that was actually quite wet, active, and that dated these objects to approximately 15,000 years ago, which is way before Egyptians. And in fact, if you read the documents from the original pharaohs of ancient Egyptians, they speak about coming to the land and finding these things already there. And so, yes, they were already there. And the Egyptians then tried to imitate what they found at the Giza Plateau. And so there's approximately 90 pyramids that were subsequent to that time, which have pretty much, for the most part, disintegrated, fallen to ruin, because they couldn't really replicate what they found. The technology was beyond the capacity. And so most books that this what we know is simply a copy of what they found from the Atlantean colonists in England. But I will even go further to say that the Atlantean refugees that built the Sphinx and the Giza Plateau were using alien technology from the surface of the star system, and they were able to levitate very heavy, huge blocks into position and put them so tightly they could not even put the blade of a knife in between them. And so these objects were used for example, the Giza pyramid was used as an interdimensional see above, in Egypt, the pyramids above is underneath is the replicas. In other words, it's not really a pyramid shape, it's a diamond shape. So what you see above is also below.
All right, very good. I do want to ask you about Edgar Casey. He had visions of a holographic library. These were supposed to be actually located in various places all over the world, and one of those was under the Sphinx in Egypt. Can you tell us what you know about that, Stuart?
Yes, of course. And I will add that that's what we spoke a long time. Western, how shall I say, scientific elite from Western Europe and North America had already gone with that very established technology. So that's done. All these Japanese or German scientists doing sonic waves to see what's going to do. That's just essentially they already and they also know what the purpose of these objects were. As I mentioned, the Great Pyramid is actually an interdimensional technology, so that if you were in the center of that pyramid and it was used electromagnetically the way it was supposed to, you would travel interdimension to other locations. It was kind of like a wormhole or vortex from that pyramid. And the Sphinx is a copy of there's a Sphinx on Mars, on the plateau, and the face on that Sphinx is identical to the face on the Sphinx in Egypt. And that was done purposely also so that people in future times, us, would hopefully realize that it was the beings from Mars who colonized Sumer paintings as well. So these were all not only technologies, but they were also messages passed for those who could understand it as well.
All right, my special guest tonight is Stuart Swerdlow, and we are discussing his book, True World History. You can pick it up on Amazon.com and his website, expansions.com. And I will have more for you when we return after this. All right, we are back. And my special guest tonight is Stuart Swerdlow. We are discussing his book, True World History. While it's on my mind, Stuart, can you tell me about the Beshegi Mountains?
Well, I was saying that there is a connection from Egypt area into Eastern Europe and then into the Black Sea. So there were ancient peoples, and for I'll just give you an example because I have been to the Bosnian pyramids and spoken with Dr. Osmanagic. And these underground tunnels that are spread out Eastern Europe and then go under the Mediterranean into Egypt and into these ancient people created these tunnels and underground areas for a reason, most likely because they were under attack from something outside of the earth. The pyramids in Egypt in Bosnia are approximately 40,000 years old, so they're even older than the Egyptian pyramids. And interesting, they're larger than the Egyptian pyramids, and they also connection to a pyramid in Serbia, which is even bigger than the Bosnian pyramids. And that is all connected to Western Romania underground, where they have found another Sphinx. So there was a colony of extraterrestrial beings, even before Egypt was created, who built these structures for the purpose of creating a energetic field around the Earth. And I also believe that the Earth was used as a military base for operations elsewhere in our solar system and galaxy.
And do you believe some type of alien base?
Well, it's artificial, we know that. And it was a base. It was a vehicle, actually. Now, the Illuminati and the Fourth Reich both have the bases on the moon, especially Fourth Reich has bases on the dark side of the moon. And so that is an area, of course, that we're not allowed to look to see. And the moon doesn't spin, so the dark side is always facing away from us, so we never really know what's going on.
All right. So let's talk about Nazi experiments. That part of your book is fascinating as well. It seems like the Nazis were thinking about things that no other regime before them was even dreaming of, or anybody else in the world for that matter. Especially when you talk about the occult. And I want you to tell us about that and also about the science aspect of it.
The Germans in World War II were extremely involved with the cult and doing astral rituals in order to evoke entities that would give them information about them. But the Germans were also with a group of beings with the Brigham star system, who these beings claimed that they were the ones who created the Teutonic race that became the Germans and Vikings. And so they wanted to support the Germans in the times. System, and the Germans documented it in their books and their files that were confiscated in the war.
Okay, so do you know